It's such a pleasure. I look forward to meet you all. Because we all need the association. Let's do Mangalacharya. Feel free to join me, and then we shall resume back our Īśopaniṣad sessions. Om.
Ajnana-vimirannasya jnananjana-shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Deham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Gun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Tam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahananda Shri Vichakramscha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Chakalpitarubhayascha Dubhya Evacha Tanam Pavanebhyo Vebhyo Namo Namaha
Namo
Vishnupadaya Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine
Namaste
Saraswati
Saraswati Gauravani
Pracharine Nirvishesha
Shunyavadi Paschatya
Deshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Govinda
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai
Gurudev Maharaj ki
Jai
Jai Jai Shri Radhe
Hey.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for your presence. Let's get started. हमारे बीच हिंदी भाषी भक्त भी हैं. Hare Krishna. Shri Īśopaniṣad. So there are 108 Upanishads, and then there are 10 major Upanishads. Out of those 10, Srila Prabhupada decided to have commentary on Shri Īśopaniṣad, because Shri Īśopaniṣad is directly about Ishwar, about God. And that's what we all are trying to realize. So the invocation, the mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Ishwar is Purna and we are Purna because we have emanated from that Ishwar. So the quality of us being Jiva, Satya Chit Ananda, is exactly same as the Lord. But the quantity is different. So that's what the first invocation mantra says, that everything is perfect. So we are perfect in quality. Then Īśopaniṣad principle that everything belongs to Ishwar. And we should always live with that principle, and then we will be able to live in harmony. If we will not, then we will live in disharmony. And that's the reason Ishwara, Krishna consciousness is not the center of our life, and that's why we are discontent. Even though we have so much, but we are discontent. And then the whole Shri Īśopaniṣad, 18 mantras, 18 verses, 18 shlokas, they could be split into these 5 categories. So the first one, that how we should live with Īśopaniṣad principle in harmony. And then to understand Ishwar, we need a spiritual vision. We need the assistance and the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And then number 9 and 11, that from, we call Guru as GPS, not global positioning system, but Guru positioning system. Because in our life, we have the aim, the destination to reach, but we forget. And that's so easy to understand. All of us, we know one day we're going to die. Whether we will become the CEO, whether we will become the most famous, most rich, or whatever we would like to become in our lives, whether we become that or not, that's a different thing. That's always doubtful. But one day we will die, that's confirmed. And not only that, that one day could be any day. It could be tomorrow. It could be next hour. But still, we don't prepare ourselves for that departure. And that's where the understanding is that we know the destination, that we should prepare ourselves to leave, how to leave the body wisely, in which consciousness. But we get diverted, we get distracted, and our Guru, both Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, and even Guru, Sadhu. Sadhu is the association. And then the Shastra, the scriptures we are reading. So the Guru is one person, or Diksha Guru, the one who initiates, one person. Siksha Guru, a lot of people, a lot of seniors. And then we have Sadhu. Sadhu is again the association. We go to the temple, we attend these sessions. And then the whole motive is to bring back, to remind ourselves that whatever we are doing is good, is okay, but we should remember the focus should not be lost. And how we could keep ourselves on that focus when we know the vidya, the right kind of vidya, the understanding, the knowledge, when we understand the true nature of things. So somebody said, a disciple asked the Guru, saying that, how can I control anger? And Guru said, if I will give you a glass of poison, will you ask me, how shall I stop taking the poison? And the disciple said, no, I know it's poison, I will not take it. And the Guru said, that's the only thing. That as soon as you will realize that angerness, that jealousy, envy, selfishness, all these, they are slow poison for our spiritual growth. You don't have to ask how to stop it. You just stop it. Just like you know the poison is bad, you will just stop it. But of course, we know there are lots of poisons in our life. We get addicted. Some people get addicted to alcohol, some to smoking, some to tea or coffee. Or it could be anything which is not required, but we become dependent on that. But the real understanding that what this angerness does and how it originates. Because if it's a fire, and if we will not fuel it, if we will not give the combustion, if we will not give the oxygen, then it will go. It doesn't really matter how big the fire is. But the only trouble is that we keep putting the combustible substance, we keep putting the oxygen. Not only that, we keep firing it. We aggregate it. And that's where Srila Prabhupada said in these verses that if we have the right understanding, right knowledge, right vidya, then it will automatically stop. It will. Of course, it will be hard initially if we are used to of it, but that's where the association comes into picture. So if we are sitting at home, maybe we want to go for Bollywood movie, we want to go for cricket, we want to go for temple. Where we will go? Depends which friend is going to call this weekend. If a devotee friend will call, we might go to temple. If a colleague will call from the office, we might go for sports or maybe for movie or something else. And we will see the way it's been explained in Bhagavad Gita as well. So that's where we are, number 9, 10, and 11. 9 we have done, 10 we are doing now, but it's the same theme. 12 to 14, we will see with that understanding, then how we can do the upasana, the prayer, the worship. And it's very important, very, very important to understand the right way of worshipping. When we visit the temple, what's our consciousness? Not all the people in the temple go to temple right at the front of the deities with a right consciousness. And to understand that, we need to understand right and wrong upasana from the Shastras. And then when we have it, we understand what's right and what's wrong, then what we do that prayers to Ishwar. Right? So today, Advait Maharaj Ji, there in the temple doing the class, and I was listening, and he was contemplating during the lecture on Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said that what is knowledge? Knowledge is action. That's what he said. He said knowledge is action. If you have a knowledge, but based on that knowledge, you don't take the action, do you have that knowledge? Maybe not. Which I always say the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Right? Somebody knows to smoke is bad, but still the person smokes. So the person has the knowledge, but the person is not wise enough to stop it, to implement that knowledge. And this is what Maharaj Ji said, that if we have the knowledge, we have to take the action. This is what Srila Prabhupada Ji said, that Krishna consciousness is not the armchair religion, which a lot of people do. And just sit and read, sit and study, sit and discuss. No, you have to take the action. And those actions are there to purify us. We call them, so in Hindi or in Sanskrit, it says bhakti. But when Srila Prabhupada Ji translated bhakti in English, he didn't say devotion, he said devotional service. So when we do bhakti, it's a devotional service, some kind of service we do. We do it for ourselves, we do it for our family, we do it for the society, we do it for the nation, we do it for humanity. But it is a devotional service. So having discussed that, we went into further. Number 9, we have seen avidya and vidya, the right kind of vidya and the wrong avidya. The knowledge which might not be good to have. So not all kind of knowledge is or good knowledge. So that's what we have seen. In 10, we have said, why? Because whether we have vidya or avidya, there's going to be a result. So we better understand what kind of knowledge is good to have and what kind of knowledge is not good to have. It's better not to have that knowledge. That knowledge will not do any good for us. It might kill over time, which otherwise we would have, even if we wouldn't have done anything, we would have conserved our energy during that time. We could have meditated, we could have done chanting, even if we wouldn't have done any reading or wouldn't have done any preaching, wouldn't have done any other kind of devotional service. We would have just relaxed, rested, and conserved the energy. So when the time will come to carry out devotional service, then we can use that energy. Otherwise, a lot of time we spend so much maybe watching news. Watching news is good, but of course, to what degree? Do we really need to have all that detail? Maybe not. Maybe not. Of course, until unless it's really going to affect us, let's get into detail. Well, most of the time, unnecessary efforts we put. And then we will see Vidya and Avidya, they go together. They cannot. It's like if the sun is there, the shadow got to be there. If the light is there somewhere, and as long as there is an object, there has to be a shadow. So that's a light, and that's a Vidya as a shadow. And these two things will go hand in hand, which we will see in 11. So in 10, again, this is where we have seen the categories. In a beautiful verse. I got the recording here. Let me see. We are sharing. If I say share the sound, now this should come. I really like this chanting, and I hope you could hear it as well.
Anyadevahurvidyaya Anyadahuravidyaya Iti shushrumadhiranam Yenastadvichachakshire.
We will do it once more from the recording.
Anyadevahurvidyaya Anyadahuravidyaya Iti shushrumadhiranam Yenastadvichachakshire.
Hare Krishna. And I think I've shared this in the past. I will share it now as well. So if in case you like to, there are many others, but this is one of the authentic ones. I think it's from Radhesham Prabhuji from Pune. I think Lotus Voice videos, I think he had started doing it. And I will share on YouTube as well. Hare Krishna. So this verse itself, the wise have explained the one result is derived from the culture of knowledge. And that a different result is obtained from the culture of essence, which is ignorance, which is avidya. So it's not just the knowledge or the darkness, it's the culture, because we cultivate it. It doesn't happen in one go. It happens during the process. We cultivate that knowledge, gradual step, slowly it will happen. Each and every word here, and that's why it's important. And let's see here. Srila Prabhupada has given word-to-word meanings of this. And if we see that, and I will show you why. So if we see this, then I think I can do that. I'm looking on the right at the moment. We will have a second screen. Here, the way Prabhupada has explained Sanskrit, so many of the disciples, they didn't know Sanskrit. There are still not a lot of people. Of course, if we can read Hindi, it's easier for us to read Sanskrit because the Lipi, Devanagari, is very similar to the Sanskrit. But not a lot of Westerners, they could. And when Srila Prabhupada started doing the translations, then Srila Prabhupada did it such a way that anyone, without the need of Sanskrit understanding, could read it. So word-to-word translations are really good. But we will see that. But what it says, so a couple of words here really, if you see. So this is where Srila Prabhupada refers back to Bhagavad Gita. And now somebody could read Bhagavad Gita standalone. We could just pick Bhagavad Gita and read it. But when acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, and he comes in line of Guru Shishya Parampara, there we see that a lot of other acharyas, they have combined the wisdom from different scriptures. For example, from Bhagavad Gita and from this verse, mantra 10 of Shri Īśopaniṣad, how we can condense together. So sometimes a lot of people, they say, oh, it's not there in the Sanskrit. In Bhagavad Gita verse, but Srila Prabhupada ji has added it. But the reason he has added it, because something else has been said somewhere else, like Shri Īśopaniṣad, and he has put that here in the purport. And that's what Prabhupada ji has done, a cross-referencing. In Bhagavad Gita, we will see it, and here in Mantra 10 in Shri Īśopaniṣad, we will see it. So what this says, that culture of knowledge. And now what is knowledge? Knowledge is not just the news. That we know the political news, we know the economics news, we know what's happening in different countries, we know what's happening in the nation, we know what's happening in the favorite sports or in an international event. They all are the news channels, what we call news websites. We could just go and get the information. And though that information could be useful. If you like to buy the house, we need to know if the interest rate is going high or low. And now, obviously, we are already in April. If the April is nearby, what's going to happen in the tax bracket? If we need to know, we can go quickly and have a check if that's going to affect us. But it's news. It's not the knowledge which has been mentioned in Mantra 10. Because that knowledge is, remember, it's a material knowledge and it's a spiritual knowledge. The spiritual knowledge, and Maharaj Ji said, knowledge is action. So that knowledge is going to impact our personality, our consciousness. Because remember, Prabhupada ji said that we need to be conscious before we able to become Krishna conscious. Right? We need to be aware enough that what's happening with us. Then only we will be able to manage our mind in between. Because mind is between our self-ego, false ego, and the brain. So the brain, the intelligence, the buddhi, the aham, man, and buddhi. The ego, mind, and intelligence. Those three, they come into subtle brain. So when the person dies, the gross body, so this body, 9 doors, 10 senses, so 5 senses, what we call 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and 5 working senses. So hands, legs, then these are the working, and then eyes, nose, ears, they are the knowledge sensing. Right? So we did them briefly, I think, when we did the Goloka chart initially. That how mode of ignorance, mode of goodness, and mode of passion gets into these, and they start working. But intelligence is there, the buddhi is there, which takes our mind towards spiritual side. But the ego is there, which says to the mind that, come on, let's enjoy sense gratification, right? Like it's ego. Ego is for me. Buddhi is for Īśavasya principle, right? So there was like what we were doing it before, harmony, disharmony. There's a great example. Somebody said, who is rich? Maybe someone who has 100 pounds will be compared very poor compared to someone who has 10,000 pounds, for example. They said, no, it's not how much we have. What are our requirements? And maybe what are our needs? Maybe what are our expectations? Somebody who only have 100 pounds, but their needs just contained within 10 pounds. That 90 pound is surplus, that person is rich. But maybe the person who is earning 10,000 or who got 10,000, the sense gratification never ends. The bigger house, faster, luxurious car, expensive clothes, holidays, all of them would go beyond 10,000. Or could go beyond 10,000, then that person will be much, much, much poorer compared to the person who only have 100, but the need is only 10 and still have 90 extra. And that person will happily go to the temple and may be give few there in the temple and be happy. So it's not what we have, it's our consciousness, how we are living. And if we can give this mantra to our kids, our family, implement in our own life, how happy could we be? Otherwise, on the flip side, mantra 3, if we don't live in Īśopaniṣad principle, if we keep running behind the material things, even those who had millions committed suicide. Why? This is one of those points I think we should always be thinking of. What is more important? And that's why what Srila Prabhupada ji says, that when we have that knowledge, what we will do with that knowledge, says one should become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. This all comes from Bhagavad Gita 13:8. So very quickly, if we go back, and I have another verse. Yesterday we have some guests at our place, and we were discussing Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 there. Okay, so the verse is from 8 to 12, which is this one. If I will bring this along. That. So this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 8 to 12. So I think Prabhupada said 13, but Prabhupada also said 8 to 12. Because so chapter 13 is, so Bhagavad Gita, there are chapter 8, there are 18 chapters. The first 3 chapters, Karma Kanda, last 6 chapters, Jnana Yoga, and right in the middle, we have Bhakti Yoga, 7 to 12. And now from 13 onward, so 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, these 6 chapters, they are Jnana Yoga. So the Jnana Yoga starts from chapter 13 in Bhagavad Gita. And this Jnana is mentioned in mantra 10 of Shri Īśopaniṣad, because we said that mantra 9, 10, and 11, it's the right and wrong vidya, knowledge, understanding, jnana. So that's why the cross-reference has been given here by Srila Prabhupada. If we say, in the Sanskrit, all these qualities are given. And humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, which is considered as a most fundamental step in a spiritual path. Cleanliness. Srila Prabhupada always said that godliness is cleanliness. Steadiness. So, Sthit Pragya always said that Krishna reminds to Arjun again and again and again that the person, so Krishna said so many things. Arjun said, so I'm wondering now in chapter 3, at the end chapter 3, that how does that person sit? How does that person speak? What does that person do? What that person thinks? About whom Arjun is asking? The person who is a sthit pragya, the person who is steady now. And who is steady? The sages. Someone, like when the Ved Vyas came, and Ved Vyas said that to Ganga, because Ganga, Ved Vyas's father was Ganga's husband. So that's why Ved Vyasji considered Ganga as her mother. So in one sense, Ganga was a stepmother for Ved Vyasa, but he always considered Ganga. And of course, Ganga was celestial, spiritual. Ved Vyasji was a spiritual. So they had mother and son relationship. And when he came, Ved Vyas, Ganga said, well, I'm going now. You got to take care of Bhishma. And Ved Vyasji said, mother, you know what's going to happen to Bhishma. Right? He's not going to stay here for long, and he's not going to give any progeny. So they both knew it, what's there for. Bhishma Pitama. Then she said, "Oh, but this is my family. You've got to take care of them." And then Vedvyas said, this is where steadiness comes in. And he says that you know that someone will have 100 sons, but they all will die. And they will be killed by the cousins. And then Ganga was upset. Ganga said, in my family, hundreds of sons gonna die, and they will be killed by the cousins. And Vedvyas said, yes, no regret. And she said, her reply was that, are you stone-hearted? Like the way you're saying it, you don't have any emotions, any sentiments for them. And the way he replied was very similar to what Krishna said to Arjun, that for whom you're crying. When Arjun gave the reasons why he doesn't want to fight, the reasons were that I can't kill my own swajans, my own relatives. And what Arjun said, for whom you can kill. If you consider the body, then body is going to die anyways. And if you consider them as a soul, what they really are, then you can't kill soul. And that's why Krishna explained about the soul. So what are you crying for? The body gonna go die, and body did the action, so body is going to get the results of those actions, good or bad. And the soul doesn't get any action, and the soul cannot be killed. So what are you crying for? Vedvyas said more or less the same thing to Ganga. And then Ganga cried a while and then came back and then said, I understand, because you are sthit pragya, you are steady in your thoughts. So you could say that, but I have a heart of a mother. And that was more or less the end of the conversation. But this is what the steadiness is. In Corona, we know people are going to die. We know our relatives are going to die. One day we're going to die. But are we ready for it? The whole spiritual progress is the art of dying. How we're preparing ourselves for that one big moment. It's going to happen one day for sure to everyone, and it could happen at any point. If we remember that, then there was another friend, I was discussing something spiritual, and he was criticizing a lot and a lot and a lot. And I say, imagine this. If today is your last day, what will you do? And then I requested him to pick 3 things. And all those 3 things were so beautiful. I say, why do you waste your energy and effort in criticizing someone? When you know it could be your last day, today or tomorrow, why not live life like that? And there were many great leaders, when somebody said that, how you keep yourself so busy, they just say that we know that we have limited time. We know we have limited time. Adi Shankaracharya ji, Swami Vivekananda ji, Srila Prabhupada ji, right? Nearly at the age of 79, no, 70, he was about to turn 70. He was 69 when he left. A very relaxing, retired life. Why? Because of the instructions of Guru. Because he had approached a bona fide spiritual master. So there are many qualities here. Now, we said it in the past that we should have some discussion. Any of the qualities here we think is hard to get. Do we think? Any of those? Anyone thinks that this quality I think is very hard. I don't think I can have it. Any of those? There are many of those, or not just personally, but any of those qualities which anyone thinks is people don't have it. Or in this day and age, Not for ourselves, but for anyone, it's hard to have. Right. So I give you an example. So there's one which says absence of false ego. So it's okay. So here if we say absence of false ego, this is very hard. The one before it, renunciation of objects of sense gratification. That's very hard as well. It's like renounce, so let's say reject, deject, leave those objects which are there for sense gratification. It could be anything, it could be a TV. Very hard. Well, luckily enough, we don't have TV in our home, but it's hard. Anyway, then there are many more. To leave your Netflix, leave your Prime. I don't know which others are there, but I'm sure there must be many more. It's very hard for people to leave. During COVID time, what did people do? They spend most of their time on those. So I think they still continue. But absence of false ego, because the way the world goes, someone keeps reminding us that it is, and even the language, you got to say I. So yesterday, I was having a discussion with one of my friend's father, and he's from Advaita, and we were discussing, and when we started using the word I, then I asked, so what are we referring I to? Is this body I, or the soul behind his I? Who is this I? Then we went in the middle, so the gross body, then the subtle body, and then the soul. So the body is not I, because body dies, but still we stay, because we are the one who take birth again and again. So the body doesn't take the birth, so body cannot be I. And the soul is the same. So the I is, the one which calls I is that mind in between. Buddhi, intelligence, mind, and self-ego. Now that self-ego is the trouble. Mind as such is not the trouble, because mind could surrender to intelligence or to ego. If ego gets purified, then where mind will go. And we have seen this. We have seen this. So another friend of mine, he comes back home and very tired from his day job. And he says, I'm tired, very tired. Okay, what are you going to do now? I'm going to go and play tennis. Excuse me? I thought you said you are tired. Yeah. But you're going to go and play tennis. Yeah. What's the difference? Because tennis is going to make you tired as well. But yeah, that's what I'm doing for my own fun. And that's the reason people say kids, they don't become tired by playing. Doesn't really matter how long they will play. They would like to play more and more and more. Even physically, the body is going away, but they want to play more. And the things a lot of people, they go on cricket, right? If you think about Monday to Friday job, Saturday, Sundays, people like to rest. So people go and play the whole day cricket or football. To make themselves tired, people go to gym, get tired. Why? Because that's for the fun. Hence, if the work becomes fun, people don't get tired. People don't become tired if work becomes fun. If the work is work, then people become tired. And the same thing, we have money in our hand, but as a cashier in Morrison's, for example, we know this money is not for us. So the mind is not tricking us there, because the ego is there, the identification. Ego is the identification, like I, mine, his, hers, theirs. That's what ego is doing, differentiating between. So when we know this is our money, this is not my money, then I will not get attached to it. Doesn't really matter how much. Maybe someone will have like £1,000 in a day, and then keep churning it, keep collecting the money as a cashier. That's it. We'll never get it. But what if somebody will find £100 somewhere? Oh, I found it. I found it. Not that I collected that money while I was working as a cashier. Oh, I found it. False ego. That ego I is making, it's a false, because I found it doesn't make that is mine, because I didn't earn it. I found it. And that's where the big difference is. So the absence of false ego is probably one of the worst one, and one of the hard one. And I will say that for myself. Anyone else would like to share any other which you find hard from this list? Okay, well, think about it. So this is Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, verse 8 to 12. This gives the list of all. These qualities will develop in us. So there is another place where 26 qualities are given for a devotee. This is what we are saying in Shri Īśopaniṣad, mantra 10, that if we have right kind of vidya, right kind of understanding, what will happen? Knowledge is action. If we have that knowledge, what will happen is this. We will become humble. We will become prideless. We will become non-violent. Intolerance will go. We will become simple. Such a beautiful thing. And that's how Guru, Sadhu, Shastra gives us the knowledge, gives us the wisdom, and these qualities, they develop in us. Hare Krishna ji. Ajay ji, please.
This is just question based on the current scenario in the world. We're talking about the non-violence, how that justified in the current scenario. It could have been really good in the past days, where people were like, more respectful. They simply, follow others, whatever the qualities, everything. But nowadays it's more intolerance world. How we see is like non-violence be still basically is a way forward.
Yes, yes. So the way we understand non-violence is not the way what Gandhiji said it. So Gandhiji said if somebody will slap on one side, give another side.
Yeah.
This actually happened. I forgot the name of the place where it happened. Gandhiji had many different organizations that people were following. So one of the person came up who was a follower of Gandhiji, and somebody hit on one. He slapped on one side and said, "You are a follower of Gandhiji." Gandhiji said it, if somebody will slap on one side, turn and give other side, give it. And that the person didn't help, and he said, "Okay, here we go." And the person gave another slap on the other side. And then this person started hitting the person. And the person said, "Well, you are follower of Gandhiji, why are you doing this?" He said, "Gandhiji said, if somebody will hit on one side, give another side. But Gandhiji didn't say if the person will hit on the second side, what to do then? So you hit me twice, I'm going to hit you now." So it's hard, but that's not the kind of non-violence that you become tolerant and just take the torture away. No, that's not what it is. It is what a Buddhist monk said it very nicely. And Srila Prabhupada explained in many other ways. But I really like the way this Buddhist monk said it. And I think I have shared it in the past. That do whatever you need to do, but don't take the person out of your heart. Which means if you work in police, and you need to capture the bad boys, do that, right? If you're a judge, you need to punish, give the sentence, do that. But in your heart, you don't need to feel any enviness or any hatred towards those people. Which means non-violent. If somebody is violent with you, you should be able to defend yourself, right? But you don't have to become violent that the person has hit me because of my ego, I'm going to hit twice. So that's where the differentiation is. The person is violent. I need to defend myself. I need to defend my family, right? I don't have to hit back again. And of course, sometimes, as it says, attacking is also a kind of defense. So in India, in olden days, I'm sure even now, between some villages, sometimes we have a river, and from one village to the other village, there is only one small bridge. And what used to happen, people used to walk. There wasn't any place to take any other, like a car or a cart view. You will just have to walk. It's a small place, small bridge. But there were many monkeys, and monkeys could jump here and there. So monkeys used to trouble those people who used to walk. Then there were some rocks nearby. Rocks means small stone. So what people used to do, before they will start, they will embark on the bridge, a small bridge, maybe 100 meters. What they will do, they will pick the small rock in hand. And when the monkey is coming, they just need to show. For most of the time, monkey will see, oh, this person has the rock in the hand. And the monkey will not trouble. No monkey will come. And even if the monkey is coming, you just show like that and that's it. And then somebody, like a child, asked that, well, why do you scare monkeys? It's violent. To scare monkeys, monkeys are innocent, monkeys are animals, you are human, you should not. Say, well, no. This is what I'm doing, not to give them pain, not to inflict any pain. I don't have any hatred for them, but so they will not trouble me. This is my defense mechanism. So I am not violent, but that doesn't mean that I will let others be violent towards me. So that's how we understand non-violence. Like what Yudhishthir said. Yudhishthir said that Duryodhan considered me as his enemy, but I don't consider him as my enemy, right? Of course, Duryodhan did bad. So Yudhishthir said, we have to end that, because of course, Krishna said we need to establish, right? So Krishna said there are two purposes I come. One is to establish the religion back again. Duryodhan is against religion, so we need to stop it. So Yudhishthir said, okay, I understand and I will help you. So that from Yudhishthir's side, that's not violence. That's actually to stop the violence. If you need to do a bit of violence, that's a defense mechanism. And that's how we could do it. Now, of course, it could be, there's a thin line in between. If you think about what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is trying to defend, but while in defending, a bit of violence will happen. And it's very hard to say because, of course, it's a big country and a lot of things happening and nobody will know in detail. But at least for us, we can understand. Even if we have to, sometimes mothers, they hit the kids, right? And somebody will say, this is a violent act. But well, the mother hit the child because the child was running away on the road and might get hit by car or a truck. So that's why, and mother was explaining to the kid for a long time, but the kid would like to run, maybe because there's another sweet shop on the other side. So mother had to be violent. But in her heart, mother knows that mother is doing the good for the child. So again, it could be a defense mechanism. It could be to control someone for a while until the person understands. But the main thing is the consciousness. This is the action, the speech, but behind it is our consciousness.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very, very well explained. Very well explained.
Very good. Thank you so much. So Srila Prabhupada has explained it very nicely. And so all these things, if you see, you're so right. It's very hard, especially in this day and age for us. And that's the reason I said, and even ponder, think, spend some time. And what I like, I discuss this with the family. You know, after dinner, we sometimes sit together, maybe for 10, 15 minutes, and just to ask each other's day. How was your day? What did you do? And I realized that maybe 10, 15 minutes, they are so fruitful to bond that family together. And sometimes I just get one of the shloka, and because the kids are getting bigger and much more mature, and they pick parents, and I just say, I don't understand this. I don't think this is wise. And then they will make you understand. So I asked Shivani and Aryan, and they will say, no, I think this means that and this means that. Otherwise, if you will say, oh, I will teach you something, they won't listen. But sometimes I say, oh, this doesn't make sense. And then say, yeah, you're right, this doesn't make sense. And it's such a fruitful time and fruitful exercise. But of course, Srila Prabhupada has given such a great understanding, which we all can take benefit from. So thank you so much for asking. But think about it, the whole, like, pick any of those or maybe all of those, and have a family discussion. And we all can do. And maybe next week we discuss more into it, because this is the right kind of vidya we need to have, the right kind of knowledge. So the knowledge should transform in the wisdom. And due to that wisdom, whichever small or big step we take, the decision we make in our life is going to impact. Like people ask many different kind of questions. And it could be whether we, for our chapati, whether we use this atta or that atta, whether we use this rice or that rice. The fundamental is very similar. Right? Why we are eating, what benefit is this going to give? Is it just for the taste, but bad for the health? If we just keep it very simple, and of course, simplicity, simplicity is one of those. If we keep that simplicity there, I think that does the job. So very nice. And then, of course, we have seen this before. We have discussed this, vidya, avidya, and vidya. Then in 10, we will see sense gratification and Krishna consciousness. This is what we are discussing. So next week, we will start this. This is what the knowledge, this is again coming from Bhagavad Gita as well, but Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji explained. So this is Rajasic, Sattvic, and Transcendental. So 3 modes of material nature we can understand, but this is spiritual, transcendental, Sattvic, goodness, Rajasic, passion. And what is ignorance, we will see that as well. So we will see what kind of knowledge. And if you get time during the week, have a look in Bhagavad Gita. It explains 3 different knowledge, understanding in 3 different modes. So thank you so much for your presence, and look forward to see you next time and next Saturday, and we shall continue our journey of Shri Īśopaniṣad Mantra. Thank you so much. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare